Now at 5, Kansas lawmakers pass a bill regulating what doctors tell patients when providing abortion medication. Plus, a Pitt State professor leads the charge to ship hundreds of pounds of textbooks to universities in Africa. And
the Pentagon announces an investigation into how classified Ukraine war plans got leaked to the internet. I'm Nicole D'Antonio with updates on what those plans revealed and how they ended up on social media.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Abortion opponents in Kansas score another victory with a bill passed today by state lawmakers. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. The bill would require abortion providers to tell patients that a medication abortion can be reversed once it's started. He could face a state court challenge if its supporters can overcome the governor's expected veto. Republican lawmakers pursued the bill, even though some experts dispute abortion opponents' claims about medication abortions. Democrats argued the measure defies a decisive statewide vote in August affirming abortion rights. Democratic Governor Laura Kelly vetoed a similar measure back in 2019. A Pitt State professor wants to help university students in Africa by shipping textbooks to 2 countries. Dr. Han He-Lee is providing 600 pounds of books to African students collected from a book drive on campus. Lee says a missionary from Africa is building universities in Africa and told him the biggest need is for business professors and textbooks. The community came together to help Lee donate and to move all those boxes full of books.
We had like this big, 30 boxes of these books. And, I was concerned about moving all these boxes to the places, but community helped me for that.
The books from Pitt State were shipped to San Jose, California today and will be shipped to Africa at the end of the month. Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services has some safety reminders for people celebrating Easter with real eggs this weekend. One tip: when coloring eggs, hard boil them, then dye them, then put them in the fridge within 2 hours. Wash your hands before and after coloring the eggs. If you plan to eat them, make sure you use food safe dye and do not eat eggs that have been hidden for more than 2 hours. Hope you find them eventually. Nice weather heading into the holiday weekend. Let's check in with meteorologist Sam Lane.
That's right, Dow. We've had a beautiful day across the area. Lots of sunshine, warm temperatures, light winds. Radar is all clear. We are picking up a little bit of moisture on the returns, but nothing really significant. We're also watching some clouds down across Texas. There is a storm system moving across western Texas this evening, but the air is so dry this evening that we're not really expecting much from that. Then there's another storm system behind that one and yet another one behind that one. And of course, that could have impacts in our forecast. Looking down the lane, looks like a sunny Saturday, sunny on Sunday morning, but then showers late Easter and then some scattered storms on Monday. And of course, I'll tell you all about that coming up in the forecast in just a little while.
Soon. The city of Neosho, Missouri has received 2 grants to help deal with recurring flooding issues. The grants will help with 2 projects. One is the school branch project. It'll cost $2.7 million, which comes from a community development block grant. This project will help redo the drainage systems in the area, adding large box culverts to help control stormwater. The second project is the hatchery branch. It'll cost $6.9 million and was funded by the American Recovery Act.
We've built several retention ponds over the last several years to help slow the water coming into town just long enough so that it can dissipate, the water ahead of it can dissipate before the new flow hits it. And the other is to channel it and move it away from residential areas as much as possible.
Work on those projects expected to start this year. The Pentagon is investigating how secret documents outlining U.S. support for an upcoming Ukrainian counteroffensive began popping up on social media. Reporter Nicole D'Antonio has details from Washington.
The Pentagon has launched an investigation to find out who leaked classified documents to social media. The documents showed secret American and NATO plans for building up the Ukrainian military ahead of a planned offensive against Russian forces this spring. The charts showed anticipated weapons deliveries, troop and battalion strengths, and other plans. The U.S. has been supplying weapons and training as Ukraine prepares to launch the offensive to drive Russia out of its country.
We very much appreciate everything that the United States have done specifically in the last months to help our army prepare itself for the counteroffensive.
Just this week, the U.S. announced it is sending $2.6 billion worth of military equipment to Ukraine ahead of the offensive.
That includes significant new air defense capabilities, more ammunition for U.S.-provided HIMARS, and anti-armor and mortar systems, as well as rockets, artillery, and tank ammunition that Ukraine is using to defend itself.
The leaked documents do not provide specific battle plans or mention when and where Ukraine intends to launch the offensive, which American officials say is likely in the next month or so. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Washington.
Some of the figures in the leaked document appeared to be doctored, showing, for instance, fewer estimated Russian casualties with inflated casualty numbers for Ukraine. That's led to some speculation that Russia itself could be behind that leak. Israeli warplanes have bombed targets in Lebanon and Gaza after a wave of rocket attacks against Israel. It's the most serious flare-up of violence along the Israel-Lebanon border in nearly 20 years. Israel says the strikes were in retaliation for dozens of rockets fired by Hamas. In another incident, 2 Israeli women were killed and another seriously injured after a shooting in the West Bank that police described as a, quote, terror attack. Christians around the world are gathering to mark this Good Friday. In Jerusalem's Old City, pilgrims followed the path they believe Jesus walked before the crucifixion. Men dressed as Roman soldiers whipped an actor portraying Jesus. In Australia, and the Pope, fresh out of the hospital after battling bronchitis, marked Holy Week by visiting a jail to wash inmates' feet. Still ahead, the latest jobs numbers.
A new employment report shows hiring is slowing down and layoffs are increasing. I'm Michael George, and I'll tell you what that means for the overall economy.
And next in Health Watch, how a group of doctors came together to help a woman dealing with a medical mystery. Topping today's Health Watch, a new UK study confirms that many people are getting COVID-19 by touching infected household surfaces. Researchers say the virus spreads from microaerosols and large droplets that land on the hands and surfaces around you. They advise frequent hand washing and cleaning surfaces, especially if someone in the household is infected. The number of RSV infections is returning to normal levels. Rates dipped during the COVID-19 pandemic due to school closures and masking, according to a CDC report. RSV symptoms are often like a common cold, with a runny nose, coughing, sneezing, fever. Children under 5 and seniors are most susceptible to severe cases. A Pennsylvania woman is grateful after doctors have solved her medical mystery. Doctors had to devise a new treatment for a potentially life-threatening condition. Reporter Stephanie Stahl has more.
Thank you so much for everything, Dr. Aiken. You saved my life.
Ronnie Elena gets emotional, thanking the team at Penn Medicine who figured out her medical mystery.
They refused to give up, and they told me I was going to be okay.
The doctors are also her friends. Ronnie works at Penn, a secretary in cardiac intensive care. 7 months ago, she started having intense gastrointestinal issues and lost 80 pounds while her belly filled with fluid.
I started passing out for no reason. Nobody could figure it out.
She managed to work as much as she could, and finally, after months of testing, there was a diagnosis.
She had this condition called protein-losing enteropathy, where you lose protein in your bowels and you're not able to absorb nutrition.
Dr. Todd Hecht, a hospitalist at Penn, says it's a rare and potentially life-threatening condition. Traditional treatments didn't work, so the team at Penn tried something new.
I personally have never seen this before.
Ronnie had an obstruction in her thoracic duct, causing the backup of fluid into her stomach. To clear that, she had thoracic duct bypass surgery. It's the first time it was used to treat her condition.
It's a new technique, new approach, new disease, new imaging. that we figure out for you, but we will figure out for other people. And it was amazing that it actually worked.
I have my life back.
Ronnie's symptoms are gone now. She's gained the weight back and is beginning to feel like herself again. Stephanie Stahl, CBS News, Philadelphia.
The Penn team recently presented that case at a medical conference. They hope the surgery used to treat Elena will be used for other patients with her condition. A routine ultrasound for pregnant women in the third trimester could significantly reduce the number of breech births. That's according to researchers in London who found scans close to birth can lead to better care before and after labor, which would also improve outcomes for newborns. And a simple blood test that analyzes DNA might one day be used to predict the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Doctors say the findings could lead to preventative measures before symptoms develop that would lessen diabetes burdens both physically and economically. And that's a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the Federal Reserve announces it's launching a money transfer app to compete with the likes of Cash App and Venmo.
And we're tracking the forecast for your Resurrection Sunday. We'll have all the details when we come back right after this. Well, friends, we are starting off the weekend right. The holiday weekend, a lot of plans outside, and it looks like the weather's going to cooperate for the most part, including down in Seneca, Missouri. You can see on today's time lapse, as we go through the day, you can see just some high clouds spilling in from the north and west. And it was that way all afternoon long. And then we had some blue skies coming in later on in the afternoon. So a pretty nice day across the entire area. I wish I could say the same thing about the allergies. Unfortunately, that is not the case. It's still up there at 10.6 out of 12. And tomorrow is going to be about the same, 10.6. And a lot of that is ash, oak, and maple trees starting to produce their pollen. Radar is clear right now. A little bit of moisture showing up, but easterly winds for the most part. We are watching some clouds down in Texas and Louisiana, a part of a system down there, but we're going to just get some high clouds from that. We are watching another storm system out towards the west that will start to make an impact on us as we head towards Sunday evening. The drought is definitely still in control, and unfortunately it's starting to expand again. It's moving back towards the east. We can see exceptional drought in Chautauqua and Elk counties, now starting to move into northwestern Montgomery counties, and it's dry across all of southeastern Kansas. So we definitely need some rainfall for those folks. Temperatures right now are generally in the 60s with light easterly winds and lots of sunshine. Just an absolute gorgeous day. Down in Grove, it's 70 degrees for one of the warmer readings, 63 over there in Cassville and Monette. Right now in Joplin, we're sitting at 64, northeast wind at 13. It is gusting at times to 21. Dew point's real low at 25, so we have a very low humidity of 23%. You can see the flag flying out of the east here in Pittsburgh. East wind at 10 miles per hour, 65 degrees. The dew point is low at 27, so we have a low humidity of 24%. The winds are going to be generally on the light side all weekend long, but as we go into Monday morning, we could see wind speeds getting up to around 20 to 30 miles per hour. That will move off towards the east as we go into Monday mid-morning. And also we're going to have a chance of showers then as well. But for the most part, the winds are going to be pretty light. Rain chances are going to be low as well for the next 36 hours. But then as we go into Sunday night, that's when the rain chances start to increase. In fact, here's a look at your precipitation tracker. Notice as we go into Sunday evening, rain starts to move into the western part of the area. And then as we go into Monday, rain starts to move across the area with some places getting close to 1/3 of an inch, maybe a little bit more than that in some isolated spots. But for the most part, it's going to be pretty nice. As we go into Saturday morning, lows are going to be in the 30s and 40s with easterly winds. Then Saturday afternoon, getting up there in the upper 60s to lower 70s with southeasterly winds. And then as we go into Sunday morning for the resurrection services, looks pretty nice. Temperatures in the mid 40s down to the south, lower 40s up towards the north, maybe a 39-degree reading up in Nevada. Then Sunday afternoon, increasing clouds, and here comes the showers out towards the west. Sunday evening, those will start to spread across the areas. We go into early Monday morning with some scattered showers around with lows near 50. And over the next 8 to 14 days, we're going to be on the warm side, cooler down towards the south and west, and rain chances, unfortunately, are going to be nil or pretty close to that with dry conditions over most of the northern part of the country. Your next 7-day forecast looks like this. Great weather tomorrow. Looks mostly fair on Sunday with those scattered showers towards the evening. Better chance of showers on Monday. And then look at that, Dow. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday, looking great with temperatures in the 70s and lows in the 50s. We must be living right.
I guess so. Great opportunities to get outside, I think.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Sam. Coming up, the latest jobs report has some disappointing numbers, some maybe not so much. We're going to break it all down. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the Labor Department released the April jobs report earlier today. It shows hiring is slowing. Reporter Michael George has details from New York.
Hiring is still at a healthy pace in the U.S., but it's slowing down. The latest jobs report shows the economy added 236,000 jobs in March, a big drop from the unemployment gains in January and February. The unemployment rate dropped slightly to 3.5%.
Today's jobs report is a Goldilocks report. It really highlights that the labor market is still growing strong. It's still surprisingly resilient, even in the face of rising interest rates, but at the same time, it is cooling.
The report also broke a record.
The Black unemployment rate fell to 5%, which is actually a record low since records began in 1972.
But analysts say growth is also getting pulled down by a rising number of layoffs. Companies announced 270,000 job cuts in the first quarter of 2023, a nearly 400% increase from the same period last year. The report shows the leisure and hospitality and healthcare industries are among those experiencing slowdowns.
It continues the post-pandemic trend of this big boom in jobs, but slowly starting to taper off.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says the new data will likely please the Fed.
The Fed needs to see the labor market cool down. The reason is when job growth is robust, when wages are rising, it means that people have more money in their pockets and spend more.
The next important report comes out Tuesday on consumer prices. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Meta, Amazon, Goldman Sachs, and Disney are among the companies recently making major job cuts. The IRS is pledging to add more customer service representatives and audit more wealthy taxpayers with $80 billion in extra funding. The money comes from the Democrats' landmark climate change and health care bill that was signed by President Biden last summer. Details of the plan come just 11 days before the 2022 tax filing deadline. Move over Venmo and Cash App. The Federal Reserve is launching a new and safer service for you this summer to transfer money instantly and around the clock. FedNow will be aimed at better helping financial institutions serve customers' needs for a better instant payment service. Through the service, businesses and individuals receiving or sending money will have full access to funds immediately. FedNow is set to officially launch in July. Honda is recalling more than 500,000 CR-Vs, but only in places where the roads need to be de-iced in the winter. Recall involves CR-Vs that were made between March of 2006 and December of 2011. Honda says the materials used to de-ice roads combined with water and mud can cause corrosion. Over time, that corrosion could lead to the trailing arm falling off, and that's not good because that's the part that connects the car's rear axle to the chassis. You kind of want to have that intact. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, what's fueling a rise in anger toward customer service? Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear from the Goodman, Missouri mayor-elect now after the town's entire police department resigned following this week's mayoral election. Plus, Kansas lawmakers approve a bill to end gender-affirming care for minors. And Pittsburgh has a doubleheader in day 2 of the Adam LaRoche baseball tournament in Fort Scott. We're going to have the highlights for you. Stay with us. CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Look at this. An exceedingly rare ruby is coming to auction. It could sell for a whopping $30 million. So you're going to want to break out your piggy bank. The 55.22 carat ruby will be the largest and most valuable ruby ever featured, according to Sotheby's. The gem was found in a Mozambique mine, originally weighing in at 101 carats.
Wow.
You work up your biceps if you had that thing on a ring.
Absolutely.
The weather.
Beautiful weather for tomorrow, and then most of Sunday is going to be okay as well. Then nice next week.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here at 6. Let's make it a great evening.